بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. I want to ask you something before we start. Not a rhetorical question, an actual question. And I want you to actually sit with it. When your moment of Karbala comes, what type of person are you going to be? Because it's coming. Maybe not in a battlefield, maybe not with blood, but a moment where staying cost you something. And leaving is sitting right there, completely justifiable, completely understandable. Nobody would blame you and nobody would even notice. A relationship that starts asking more than you ask for, your deen when it becomes too inconvenient, a friend who needs you when it's most inconvenient to show up. Here's what's actually interesting about Karbala. Ibn Ziyad wasn't just sending soldiers to fight Imam al-Hussein. He was buying people. He was offering money, real money, enough to change someone's life. To anyone willing to turn against the grandson of the Prophet. People who called themselves believers, people who stood behind Imam Hussein in prayer. They sold out because their price was high enough. And I want you to actually sit with that for a second. Because if someone offered you enough money today to change your entire life, would you really stand firm? Be honest with yourself. Most of us like to say we would not be bought, that our moral standards cannot be bought with any amount of money. And most of those men in Kufa probably thought the same thing about themselves, right up until the offer was on the table. Now here's the part that should actually shake you. Hazrat Abbas wasn't being bribed. No one was even offering him a single coin. He was being offered something far more dangerous than money. He was being offered a clean way out, with his dignity completely intact. Leave and no one calls you a traitor. No one even blames you, and he still didn't take it. His name is Hazrat Abbas, the son of Ali. You all know Karbala. I don't need to retell the entire story tonight. I want to take you to one river, one afternoon on the 10th of Muharram. The camp is dying of thirst, and it's not the thirst that we say after a long day. It is the thirst of dying, the dying thirst. Children whose mouths have gone dry, whose little bodies are starting to shut down. And Abbas, the commander, the Alamdar, he gets on his horse and he goes towards the Euphrates. Not for himself, but for the children. He gets to the river and he gets off the horse and he cups the water in his hand. And right here, right at this second, most people telling the story rush straight past. But I'm not going to rush straight past it. I want you to actually sit in this moment with me. Because everything I came here to say tonight is sitting in this exact moment in the palm of his hand. See, he doesn't just remember Imam Hussein and feel bad and put the water back. That's not what actually happens. What happens is he talks to himself, out loud, alone on the edge of the river, with no one watching him. Listen to what he says. He says, "O self of Abbas, what is left in life after Al-Hussein? Will you drink water and stay alive while Imam Al-Hussein remains thirsty in the camp? By God, this is not the way of a servant. This is not the way of a brother. This is not the way of a follower of the Imam, and it is not the way of loyalty. 4 things. He checks that water against 4 different parts of who he is. Not one reason to put the water down, 4. And every single part comes back with the same answer. Now the first one, he says, this is not the way of a servant. Before Hazrat Abbas is a brother, before he is a commander, before he's anything, he is the servant of Allah. And a servant doesn't serve himself first. That's the whole point of being a servant. Hazrat Abbas had already given his will to Allah long before he got near that river. And the Quran says it plainly. Allah tells us, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I did not create mankind except to worship me. That's a verse we might just recite, but Hazrat Abbas was living that verse with the water in his hands while he was dying of thirst. The second, he says, this is not the way of a brother. Now think about what he's actually saying here. He's not saying, I love Imam Hossein too much to drink water. He's saying something much harder than that. He's saying brotherhood that drinks while its own blood is dying of thirst a few hundred meters away is not true brotherhood. It's just a word that sounds nice to say, but not because it costs anything. So you just say it with your mouth, but you don't actually mean it with your actions. The third one, he says, this is not the way of a follower of the Imam. This is huge. This is very important, so stay with me here. Hazrat Abbas did not only see Imam Hussein as his brother, he saw him as his Imam. He saw him as the one Allah has placed on the earth as a guide for that time. And a follower who looks at his own thirst before his own Imams, he is not a true follower. He was just someone standing close by, and when it became hard, he failed his responsibility. And the Quran tells us, أَتِيُوا اللَّهَ وَأَتِيُوا الرَّسُولَ وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ. Obey Allah and His Messenger and those vested in authority among you. We say we follow the Imam, we say we follow the Ahlul Bayt, we say we follow the Imam. We say that all the time. In fact, that is why we are here today. But there's a massive difference between standing near your Imam and truly following him. And Hazrat Abbas knew the difference. And the fourth, he names it himself. He says, this is not the way of loyalty. See, there's no audience at this crowd. There's no audience at this river. There's no crowd. There's no cameras. Nobody's watching him. There's no one to impress. He's not performing loyalty for anybody. He's defining it to himself, alone at the edge of his own death. And that's the kind of loyalty that's real. The kind that holds up even when nobody's watching. So 4 things: servant, brother, follower, loyal one. He held that water up against every single part of who he was. And every single part gave the same answer. And he poured the water back into the river. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam once said something that should sit heavy with us tonight. He said, be careful of your desires in the same way you are careful of your enemy. For there is no greater enemy for human beings than their own desires. Hazrat Abbas knew that before anyone had to tell him. At that river, there was no army standing in front of him yet. The only enemy in front of Hazrat Abbas in that moment was himself, and he won. So you're going to have your own river. Maybe you've already had it. That moment where something completely legitimate was sitting right there in your hand. An easy way out, a version of yourself that cost you nothing, and nobody would have blamed you for it. Hazrat Abbas is asking you the same questions he asked himself. Is this the way of a servant of Allah? Is this what a real brother would do? Is this how someone who actually follows the Imam behaves? Is this loyalty, or is it just a word that I use when it's convenient? These are all questions we have to ask ourselves when we are performing actions. So on the 10th of Muharram, a man held water that was rightfully his, and he put it down. So here's what I'm leaving you with tonight. Not something to just hear and forget by tomorrow morning. When the water is in your hand, what are you going to do? Are you going to live the lifestyle of Hazrat Abbas, or are you going to live the lifestyle of his enemies? Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.